I've seen a lot of hype online for AI tutors, a few of them,
Hmm.
and some of them start off
Yeah.
well, but then they start to degenerate or deteriorate. And as far as for intermediate learners, for example, especially like maintaining some level
Yeah.
of coherent conversation that leads to
Yeah.
language growth, vocabulary growth, and increased grammatical competence, for example. And it seems like there's often an overload of corrective feedback, for example. What are your thoughts on the role of
Yeah.
AI in language learning?
First of all, I want to acknowledge that the way artificial intelligence operates currently is incredibly damaging to the environment. The AI processing data centers that have been built require large amounts of water to cool them, and that is not great in a world where,
Mm-hmm.
water is becoming more and more precious a resource. They also require immense amounts of power to operate them. And, I don't have facts and figures, but I'm pretty sure green energy doesn't figure into much of that
Yeah.
power that's being used. So AI has a large water usage footprint and it has a large carbon footprint. So I just want to put that out there that if you are concerned about those issues, and I think as a living, breathing organism that lives on this planet, you probably should
Mm-hmm.
be, the use of AI really does leave a large environmental
Interesting.
footprint. Secondly, it's always good to remember that the majority of the AI programs out there now have been trained on English primarily, and they've been trained
Mm-hmm.
using written language primarily. So if your goal is to speak a language, right, AI oftentimes will give you models that sound a lot more like
Yeah.
written language, but you wouldn't know that if you're learning a language for the first time. So wouldn't know what it
Mm-hmm.
sounds like spoken versus written. And I'm not just talking about accents and things like that. The
Mm-hmm.
way we speak a language is fundamentally different from
Mm-hmm.
the way we write
So
it.
more like a textbook, more like
Spoken
textbook
language is more,
language. Not even.
not even because it's trained off the internet. So it's trained
Mm-hmm.
off all kinds of different texts. But what all those texts have in common is that they're written language. So they're more carefully
Mm-hmm.
curated. Spoken language has more sort of false starts. It has more errors in it. It's more repetitive. So if your goal is to speak a language, you really need good
Mm-hmm.
models of spoken language. And I'm not sure we can get those from AI. However, what AI can absolutely help you do is build
Okay.
automaticity. So it's good for those sort of repetitive tasks. What I would say though about I guess
Mm-hmm.
my third point, fourth point, counting, but my about AI would be that it is programmed to be
Okay.
agreeable. And as we know in real life, other human beings are not
Yeah.
always
That's
agreeable. So in order to learn to speak a language, you have to learn how to cope with dealing with other people who have
mm-hmm.
different goals, who have different motivations, who
Mm-hmm.
are living their lives. And so AI exists to serve you. Other people don't exist to
Wow.
serve you. And what I've noticed is people who interact a lot with AI start interacting with people the same way, and people react very when you do that. So an AI is never going to push back on you. They're never going to contradict you. They're never going to be an authentic experience. So there's a lot of caution with using AI to learn languages. I would say if you want to practice automaticity, I think it's a good avenue for that. You can, and I will add right here, the quality of the prompt you give to the AI. I was just going to say, if you say, I just want to chat in this language, your chat's going to
Mm-hmm.
have a good quality. It's not going to be a quality, I should say. What would result in better quality is crafting the prompt to say, I would like to role play with you. I'm going to be this role and you're going to be that role. And then you tell the AI actually, be
Oh,
difficult with me, like push back on me. You have to tell
okay.
it to do that directly.
It will.
And it will. So you just have to A, focus on automaticity, and B, craft your prompt to make sure that the AI understands exactly the kind of interaction you want. Any language learner can give the prompt to AI to create an
Mm-hmm.
activity to help
Okay.
them practice. What I would say with AI again, though, is remember, it's going to agree with you too much. AI also suffers from what's called hallucination, where it will make up information for the sake of
Mhm.
expediency. So AI always will prioritize speed over accuracy. So if you ask it for factual information, lots of that factual information is actually
Wow.
incorrect. And I think we have to add here, since we're talking about language, remember that AI has mostly been trained on English. I believe the major language models have had upwards of 30 billion tokens in English. English is a very widely spoken language. If you try to use AI to learn a less commonly taught language like
Mhm.
Polish, for example, there are only 40 million or so dominant speakers of Polish on Earth. It would take them upwards of half a century to produce the same amount of tokens that are currently available in English. So the point of this is that AIs are not trained very
Mhm.
well on less commonly taught languages, and those errors then accumulate very rapidly. So I would say if you want to learn a commonly taught language like French or Spanish, AI can help you more than if you need to
Oh,
learn a less
that's a
commonly
really
taught
important point.
language. So that's something to
And
keep in
also,
mind.
so what I'm hearing is basically AI can serve as an important resource, especially in the beginning, to develop more of that memorized proficiency and how to respond in very typical communicative types of situations.